In 4, 3, 2, 1, welcome to Conversations with Dr. Heather and Friends. Hey, good morning, everyone, and happy spring. I don't know about you guys, but obviously I'm out here in Connecticut and we are in the 60s, and I'm super excited for just some really warm weather. Because it means we get to go and really enjoy the outdoors, especially as the pandemic continues on. It's really important for us to kind of remember to get outside and embrace that fresh air. So before we kind of get started today, guys, I want to make sure, because what we're going to do today on the live show is we're really going to start talking about who is Dr. Heather? How did I actually get started? How has the pandemic kind of changed some things? But I'm also going to be giving away access to my 2 online courses, the Myofascial Release course and the Secret to Eliminating Low Back Pain course. So if you're looking to possibly obtain access for free, do make sure you give StreamYard permissions when you're tuning in, because you're going to need to leave some comments down below in terms of, letting me know that you're here. So make sure you give StreamYard permission to go ahead and let us know who you are today. So like I mentioned, today we're going to really kind of be talking about some different things. So kind of want to really kind of just jump right into it in the sense of, I think a lot of you have met me through social media. You're either been following me on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. You've appreciated some of the videos that I have done really on education, well-being, and trying to kind of resolve, your pain symptoms, aches and pains and discomforts, and how we can fix it naturally. So what I want to kind of start off with is, kind of who I am and my background, because I think unless you've really kind of engaged with me, how to consult with me, then you kind of get those answers, answered for yourself. So right off the bat today, I want to know, where are you watching from? So like I said, I'm out here in Connecticut. It's 11 a.m. Eastern time. But where are you from? Kind of let me know. I've been working with people throughout the entire U.S., actually a lot in Texas, and then also too a lot globally, which has made everything kind of really fun. So again, kind of let me know where you're watching from today. Drop some comments in the chat. And like I said, don't forget to give StreamYard permission, to go ahead and access, that information. Okay, so, pretty much I've always wanted to do exactly what I am doing today. And the funny thing is years ago, this is probably going to go back about 15 years ago, maybe even a little bit longer, I ran into a high school friend, and they had said to me, this is what you said to me back when we were in an art classroom doing some photography stuff. They said, you knew you were going to go to college, you were going to study sports medicine, athletic training, go on to graduate school, do chiropractic medicine, and then essentially kind of, open up your own practice and work with professional athletes. Well, now I didn't work with professional athletes, but I do work with athletes and the non-athlete. So a lot of my patient base are similar in the sense of they all are athletes at heart. And they're looking at really trying to figure out how to achieve optimal performance, get their bodies moving and functioning better. So that's what I strive to do. I really strive to kind of help everyone achieve optimal performance and optimal well-being according to their fitness level, which is really something that's got to be said, because we're all different degrees of fitness levels. I'm actually a natural athlete. I've played sports all of my life. I've really accelerated in them. Kind of even going way back when I was in 8th grade, I suffered a really massive low back injury where my sacrum kind of started rotating and started twisting my lumbar spine, creating pain down both my legs, where I actually had to wear a back brace for a significant amount of time. And it was a local, well, I shouldn't say local, but a family chiropractor that my mother had been seeing, who actually introduced me, one, to chiropractic medicine, but also introduced me to more of what's called kinesiology, which is more the study of movement, and understanding muscles, how they connect, how our bodies move, how they function. And from there, I started really kind of applying things, my knowledge base as I was going through, undergraduate and graduate school, starting to really apply these things and understand how do they work. And it wasn't until I was in my clinical rotation that I really kind of saw a need to, take a step back and not really treat the patient as, just somebody who was coming in looking for a quick answer. Everyone I was meeting wanted to know why. So that's a big thing that I try to emphasize when I even do my consults, is really trying to figure out, okay, well, why did this pain occur? What is actually going on for that person? Where did it transpire from? Why are they feeling the symptoms now? Now, a lot of us, might be saying, okay, that kind of makes sense. We all would like to know the reasons why. And, for a lot of us, we struggle with that because we may have gone to PT, we may have seen the acupuncturist, the massage therapist, so many different types of people, but nobody's actually really kind of coming in and figuring out the why, putting all the pieces together. And that's something I really strive at. So, when somebody, goes ahead and works with me, whether it's in person or virtual, we first kind of take a look at, okay, what are you trying to achieve? What is that optimal performance for you? How do we get you there? And then what has been transpiring? What are those things that have been, cultivating along the road here, along your journey? And how do we actually kind of get everything to work and function and, really kind of now make a 180 where you're starting to feel pain-free, which is, hugely important. Now, like I mentioned, I've actually been on the other side of the fence. I've had physical therapy. I've had PT, and I've had chiropractic work before as well, acupuncture. So I'm very versed at kind of all the different types of alternative practices that are out there. But a lot of times what we have is people aren't, getting all the dots connected. So nobody is actually really going ahead and communicating with other practitioners. This is something I actually, strongly emphasize when I work with people is if you have a team of people behind you, I want to actually talk to them because this is about you. So if we can come together and really have a good, strong understanding of what's going on for you, and now the whole team is on the same page and we know what each person is doing, then your own optimal health and well-being is going to accelerate, which is, again, something that I really emphasize, strongly on, and the funny thing is that when I was in undergraduate school, I was already starting to put all these applications together. I was already starting to see these things happen. So, I'm gonna actually date myself just a wee bit. 1996, 1995, when I was in undergraduate school, I was doing one of my first very athletic training internships with the Keene State women's basketball team. And all the girls were having, tons of ankle sprains. Everybody was getting their ankles taped at 5 a.m. Everybody was, putting on ankle braces and so forth. And I was like, okay, why? Why are these girls having, such issues with their ankles? What's going on? Because all we're doing is kind of after practice, putting on the Band-Aids. They're getting into the ice baths, the whirlpool. They're doing some, ankle stretching, corrective exercises. But what's going on? Well, the funny thing was at the same time, I was actually also working for our fitness center. And it was a very kind of low budget fitness center. But after practices, the whole entire basketball team would come up to the fitness center. And that's where they would actually do their strength training program. And it was very funny to me because as I watched all these girls, we're all the same age, going through their strength training program, I'm watching them do very outdated exercises. And, again, this is the 90s. So it's not like anything was like hugely outdated, but they weren't addressing what we call, functional movement patterns. They were doing very primary movement patterns. They were sitting in machines, they were pushing or pulling weight, but they weren't really addressing kind of a lot of the things that were going to replicate on the court skills. So here we are kind of, preseason, but they're having those injuries. They're not attending to certain things. So what we started doing, or what I should say I should start doing is, I went down, met with the coach, and I said, hey, I'd like to rewrite the entire strength and conditioning program for the women's basketball team. I think if we do this, is actually going to achieve, a reduction in those ankle injuries. And we're going to see everybody just accelerate with their own fitness, with their own well-being. And so the coach was like, you know what, sure, let's go for it. Let's see what this, sophomore has to offer. So I went ahead, I rewrote the entire women's basketball team strength and conditioning program. And sure enough, every single person that had an ankle injury didn't have one anymore. So we didn't have to do any more tape jobs early in the morning. Nobody was wearing ankle braces. Nobody was getting injured in the sense of, there wasn't any reoccurring injuries. So it was a real kind of true testament. And the coach was extraordinarily happy because now his athletes were playing better. So, again, from, the early 90s, I kind of recognized, what it is I could do. And that had a lot to do with me understanding how our bodies moved, how they functioned. And then from there, kind of really starting to look at what are the muscle groups that are working? What are the muscle groups that aren't working? I talk a lot about flexibility, mobility, compensation patterns, neuromuscular firing patterns. But again, you might be thinking, okay, well, how does this all play in? Well, again, essentially, if you are somebody who is getting, injured, or you're looking at hoarding or, kind of making sure you're not going to get injured, you're trying to ward off those injuries from setting in, you're going to want to make sure that you look at what we call your functional movement patterns. You're going to want to see, how does my body move through different planes of motion, and what is actually happening here? How are things really working? What are the things that are going on? And then from there, if you start adding weights into the picture, if you start adding a TRX, a kettlebell, a sandbag, even something as much as a rip trainer, those are certain things that you're going to want to go ahead and say, okay, if my body moves this way in a static position, now I change it and I put in dynamic, I put in high intensity. What happens to my body? What do I notice? What do I feel? And then what are those movement patterns doing? Are they starting to shorten a muscle group, lengthen a muscle group? Do I notice any knee, shouldn't say knee, but if I notice any discomfort, pain symptoms setting in, what's going on? What do I know is triggering it? So a lot of it had to do with the fact that I really started looking at the kinesiology, the study of movement, and then putting it into play with muscle firing patterns and understanding how our body likes to create compensation. And what does that really do? So, again, kind of in college was my first experience in really kind of starting to understand and really embrace what I already was learning and what was going to become my path, my journey when it came to a career, was to really see, okay, well, what is going to happen? How do I apply all these things? So again, this is what I started doing, was learning, at a young age, doing sports medicine, doing athletic training. And then from there, coupling it with the chiropractic medicine. And again, when I was in my clinical rotation, this was something that was going ahead and it was increasing patient care. So, I talk about, like I said, the neuromuscular firing patterns are compensation patterns, learning functional movement patterns. But then also too, when I was starting to meet with patients, I was actually then starting to focus on the why. So it's really starting to figure out, why is this person having this pain? Why are they in my office right now? And then it was, how to keep them out of my office. Now, this is something that I think everyone, I had, years ago, somebody I dated actually said to me, well, you shouldn't fix everything right away because then they're going to leave and then they're never going to come back. And I said, well, that wasn't the case. I wasn't worried about that. I wanted to go ahead and make sure that you had a positive experience, you got your needs met, and if it could be met, then the whole goal was that hopefully you would refer somebody in, because the whole premise was, you shouldn't need to see me 3 times a week for the rest of your life. There are things called like a maintenance program, but for the most part, you should be able to get better. Our bodies are designed to get better. They are designed to show improvement. It's just really a matter of, how much intervention do I need? Can I go more of a palliative, alternative route, or do I need more of a traditional route? Do I need surgery? It's understanding all these things and then really figuring out, again, what is your optimal performance? What are you looking to achieve? And actually, that's a great question for all of you guys today, that are watching. And even if you're catching the replay, hashtag replay and let me know, what are your optimal performance goals? What is something that you're trying to achieve? Because again, everything that I strive to do now that I am more virtual is really looking at how to help people get better, really looking at their own health, their own well-being, and really getting them back to optimal performance, optimal function, because that's something that I really strive at. So with that being said, again, let me know, what are some of those goals for you? Because, everything I do, even if it's on the YouTube channel, and if you haven't gone over to the YouTube channel and subscribed and taken a look at some of the video content that's out there, please go ahead and do so, because it's all around the questions that a lot of you guys are posting on social media. I try to find the different questions that you guys are posting on a weekly basis, and that's how I actually make my videos. It's all based upon you, really trying to answer those questions so you guys have a better foundation. You kind of have somebody saying, okay, they're listening, they're paying attention. Now let's, see if we can't put some of these things into action. And then obviously, if you needed further help or assistance, I always say, go ahead, reach out to me, and I always give a free consult. I'm happy to talk with people because again, this pandemic has allowed me to meet so many different people. It's been a really fun experience for me, just being more virtual. But again, that is kind of my main goal. My main mission is to really look at, from a sports chiropractic standpoint, how to get you to optimal performance and what that is for you. So again, that's kind of just a little bit history of, my background, kind of my first experiences at really looking at functional movement screenings, functional movement patterns, how they kind of correlate, how they work into somebody's exercise fitness program, regardless if we're looking at preseason, in-season, postseason types of training. What does that really mean? And then here's the funny thing, I talk a lot about the fact that, when I was in graduate school, I started putting all these applications together. And then when I had graduated, and this is going to go back to probably 2001, when I started coming back home, started opening up a practice, I noticed that I was starting to, work with people who were experiencing kind of different types of ailments. And then, putting in all these kind of treatment programs, all these corrective exercises, was going ahead and letting them experience some pain-free movement, which was really fantastic. Which, again, if you haven't seen it, this is my ebook. So I wrote this probably a good 18 years ago, all around core stabilization, core stability, and it really does do that. It's designed around kind of eliminating your low back pain. And, all the exercises, there's 5 bonus exercises in my ebook. But if you want to go a little bit further, this is your opportunity to access for free, the Secret to Eliminating Low Back Pain course, the online course. So drop in the comments if this is something that you would like to get access to for free. Drop a comment down below. You'll have a chance to win this. Today is the 21st. So you'll have up until midnight on the 22nd to gain access to this online course, which is the Secret to Eliminating Low Back Pain course, where I really kind of go through, 7 static positions designed around, core stabilization. And then we take it a step further, incorporating a therapy ball. And then we even take it a step further by incorporating a BOSU. So if you're looking at obtaining access for free to this online course, drop some comments down below and we will go ahead and make sure that you get access to that course. So like I said, the funny thing here was, about 18, 19 years ago, I started writing this book. And, recently, when I was looking at putting together online courses, thinking, okay, well, what kind of online course would people want? And I was like, well, wait, I wrote a book on this. It is available as an ebook, but what would some people want? And, a lot of people have talked about experiencing low back pain, not knowing what to do in the various different social media groups. And sure enough, as I was flipping through the pages of this lovely handwritten book, and I kid you not, so I even have the manuscript kind of sitting right here on my desk. As I was flipping through this manuscript, I was going, oh my God, this is everything that I actually talk about on a daily basis. Neuromuscular firing patterns, understanding that relationship, functional movement, compensation patterns, understanding balance, proprioception, how do you elicit a muscle fire, all these things. So it was kind of really fun for me, because this whole online course, The Secret to Eliminating Low Back Pain, is really wrapped around something I had cultivated and created about, 18, 19 years ago when I was fresh out of grad school. So, if you are, again, looking for access to that online course, go ahead and, like I said, leave some comments down below. And I'm giving away 3 of those today. So if you're looking at gaining access, again, 3 people are going to get The Secret to Eliminating Low Back Pain course, and you have until midnight on the 22nd to go ahead and do so. So now, I've kind of talked to you guys a little bit about, who I am, how I kind of got started, and I've had, various what we call brick and mortar businesses. But then, unfortunately, the pandemic kind of threw a monkey wrench in a lot of people's businesses. And I had to figure out kind of how to become virtual, because I am, in my 40s, and I'm very much used to, going to our local running shop and interacting with various different runners, our ski shops, our cycle shops, and so forth. And, doing lectures, doing talks. And now all of a sudden, the pandemic kind of threw that monkey wrench in where I couldn't go ahead and do that anymore. So I had to figure out a way how to engage with people. And that's where I remember a dear friend of mine saying years ago, who was a personal trainer, who worked for me at the time, said, it's not uncommon that us as professionals sometimes need a coach. And that's where I was just like, okay, I think I need a coach. I think I need somebody to kind of show me, what is this online world? Because again, if you're in your 40s and you actually are chuckling, because that kind of sounds like you too, where we're all kind of going, how do we do Zoom? How do we do this? Drop some comments down below and let me know you can kind of relate a little bit, because that's kind of what I was going with. I didn't know what some of these things were. I didn't know how to engage and interact with more people, because I was used to doing what we call grassroots marketing. And I was used to going out and meeting people physically out in the world. And now the pandemic created a issue for all of us where we couldn't do that anymore. We had to figure out how to adapt and change things. So that's actually where I did kind of meet some various different coaches, and I learned pretty much, what it meant and how to engage more with people. And that's where another good friend of mine who's a PT had said, you have so much knowledge, it would be a shame not to kind of share that knowledge. And if you've seen some of my posts in various different social media groups, especially on Facebook, you know that I really emphasize a lot on education. So I really like educating people. I really like making sure that my patients, my clients, anybody, if they have questions regarding something, it's all right to kind of give them a little bit of an anatomy lesson. It's okay to kind of start breaking things down, because I find it very beneficial. So again, that's what I started doing. Every Sunday, you guys should know, there's usually a post in one or more, social media groups where I kind of talk or answer a question that's been kind of cultivating all week. And I try to kind of give you guys a little bit more education on the anatomy, the physiology, and then some really helpful tips regarding exercises, stretches, things that you can do to help kind of conquer whatever that initial question was. So again, that's what I kind of started doing, was learning that I needed to broaden my horizon a little bit more and try to reach more people, because the pandemic was going ahead and making it so we couldn't get out to a lot of our local businesses, our local professionals, to gain access to certain things. So, with, that's kind of what happened next. Was I realized, I had to become a little bit more virtual. And for a lot of you that have kind of met me, you kind of know me as the virtual sports chiropractor doctor, who, will try to help you as much as possible to answer some of those questions that you may be having. So, if there's a particular question that you want answered during today's live session, go ahead, feel free to drop a comment down below. Or if you're catching the replay and you want a specific question answered, hashtag replay and still ask that question, because if you also know me as well, I really do try my best to respond to everyone that is out there. So again, like I said, the pandemic, changed my mindset, changed the shift of how I actually do business. And that was more or less kind of going more virtual and starting to share with people a little bit more knowledge, a little bit more education. And then from there, it was actually a really cool thing for me, because a lot of my treatment protocols that I utilize in office, and it's, been over the last 20 years. So it's, kind of case study after case study, seeing what really kind of works, what really works for people. I was really impressed to see that a majority of the people that I was working with virtually were actually getting better. Now, granted, some people were getting better within that 3-week time period. Some people, it actually did take a little bit longer, but that also could have been just because, again, when we start working and we're doing it more on a palliative kind of, alternative treatment, in terms of, we're not taking a drug, we're not having surgery, it can sometimes take a little longer because other areas might flare up. Certain other issues may flare up as well. So we want to kind of pay attention to them. But for the most part, this was, based on just kind of what I've noticed over the past 20 years in private practice, and really starting to see that those treatment programs could actually work in a virtual setting. So again, this was one of those things that was really just great for me, seeing that, the pandemic allowed for a shift, but it also too enabled me just to kind of see and work with more people out there. So again, like I said, if you're catching the replay of this, hashtag replay, if there's a specific question that you have regarding an ailment that you're going through, go ahead and ask that question down below. Just make sure you give StreamYard permission, so I know, who is actually watching today. All right. So like I said, we've gone ahead, we've kind of now got a better understanding of kind of how I started my journey as a sports chiropractor, kind of what my mission is, which is to really kind of help those out there, both the athlete and the non-athlete, achieve optimal performance, optimal well-being through various different kind of exercise programming, whether that be more corrective rehabilitative or really kind of starting to look at their own strength and conditioning types of program. So now the other thing is too, I talked about my low back pain course, the Secret to Eliminating Low Back Pain course. The other course that I actually did, put together for you guys was one of the ones that was simply because so many people were realizing that they were getting injured, but didn't know how to break down soft tissue. So I had done kind of like a whole set. It was an 8-part series. It's on the YouTube channel. So if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, go ahead and do so. But it's an 8-part series, which really kind of just briefly goes over the myofascial release, techniques in terms of how you break down the tissue, how do you really use a foam roller. But then I decided to create something, which is my myofascial release course, which really takes a closer look, where we go over a little bit of anatomy. So each section has an anatomy video, and then we look at using a foam roller and a massage ball and how to break down the tissue to, again, achieve some better optimal performance for you. Hey, Jerry, it's good to see you this morning. So like I said, I'm giving away 3 of my courses today. One being the Secret to Eliminating Low Back Pain course. And then the other one, 3 people will actually get access to the Myofascial Release course. The Myofascial Release course, I actually had a lot of fun doing as well, because for all of us, a lot of us have been working from home, and we're noticing more aches and pains, coming up. So this is a nice little simple course where, if you are working from home and you're getting some more neck tension and stuff like that, you can quickly kind of click on the neck video area, go down onto the floor, use your roller, use your massage ball, break up the tissue a little bit. And then from there, you can go ahead and, obviously go back to work, but then you can, play around with it a little bit more. The Secret to Eliminating Low Back Pain course is designed to kind of actually take you right through start to finish, because it is designed on a building block. So it really kind of starts getting you to understand what core stabilization, core stability is, how that works into things, why and how that's going to eliminate your low back, and then really showing you how to advance it a little bit further. So again, the Secret to Eliminating Low Back Pain course, kind of takes you step by step through. And then, the myofascial release course is designed around kind of, you can just click on the areas that you want to focus on a little bit more. But again, it's going to be much more beneficial to you guys to go ahead and, take full advantage, of kind of going from head to toe, which I do kind of make a little bit of a joke about. If you don't know, because a lot of you guys just know me as, Ask Dr. Heather or Fix My Pain Naturally from the YouTube channel, but my practice name is actually Head to Toe Chiropractic. And that's something that I kind of joke about a little bit with the myofascial courses. It is a very head to toe approach because we look at going throughout the entire body. So guys, like I said, if you're looking to obtain free access, I want to see some comments down below. Let me know that you're watching. Let me know, if one of those courses seems to be of interest to you, and, we'll go ahead and make sure that you get access to it. Again, 3 people are going to get access, and you have until midnight on the 22nd to gain access. So again, this was just designed today around kind of getting to know me a little bit better, kind of how I got started as a sports chiropractor, kind of where my passion lied. And that really had to do with, the fact of I experienced a really traumatic injury in 8th grade playing softball. And then it was a chiropractor who did a lot more with kinesiology, which is the study of movement. And he used muscle testing to really kind of help me get better. And then from there, I applied my talents as an athlete and somebody who really was good at art, and really found out that I had just such a great fascination for the human body in terms of how it worked, how our neuromuscular system worked, how our nerves and everything just connected. And then from there, I just went ahead and started applying everything that I was absorbing through undergrad, through graduate school, and starting to see those things come together in a nice format, which is where I'm at today, which is, again, a sports chiropractor who really looks at helping both the athlete and the non-athlete achieving optimal wellness and optimal performance. So again, guys, that was what today's live show was really all about. If you're catching the replay, do hashtag replay. And, if you're looking to obtain one of those courses, let me know in the comments. Let me know where you were watching from. And if you got value out of this today, or you just kind of enjoyed getting to know me, Dr. Heather, a little bit more, give it a like. And if you haven't, head over to the YouTube channel, go ahead and do so. I do hope to see you guys more. You can always catch every Sunday. I usually post into all the different social media groups regarding trying to find and answer those questions that you guys may be having. If there's specific, excuse me, if there are specific exercises or ailments that you're experiencing, let me know, because I actually, will help make videos regarding those things. And that's what it's all about. All right, everyone. I just hope you're enjoying the really warm weather that we're all experiencing now that it's spring. But I'm going to wish everybody a great Sunday, and I will catch you in April. All right, everyone, have a great day. And don't forget, you have until midnight, Monday night, the 22nd, to try to obtain one of my new online courses. 3 people, excuse me, 3 people will get the secret to eliminating low back pain. And 3 people will get the myofascial release course. All right, everyone, have a great Sunday.